Well, welcome everyone. I'm sure we're going to have more people joining us, and I'm really happy to see you all and appreciating you being here with us in our community tonight. So if you don't know me yet, my name is Michelle Yasuda, and I'm the program director for the Foundation for Conscious Living's Big Leap Home online programs, which support individuals, organizations, and communities in generating agency, connection, and creativity on our shared planet. So we have been doing a series on the drama triangle, and Gayle will be talking more about that when I turn the call over to her. So if you've missed some of those calls, I'll be giving some links so that you can catch up. But you will enjoy this call tonight, regardless of whether you've joined us for any of the other calls. So I'm just going to go over a few logistics here before I turn the call over. One of them is to please grab a pen and paper. So if you don't have a pen and paper handy, go ahead and go grab one now. I'll just give you a moment to do that. So before I do turn the call over to Gayle, I want to appreciate you, Gayle. I'm only just getting to know you. Gayle has been in our community since the early 2000s. Well, since 2000, right? I think you said. And so way before I've been in this community, Gayle has been a beautiful presence, and I've heard about you for many years, and I was really excited when you said that you would lead this particular call. And what I really appreciate about the connection that we've had during this time is I notice your relaxed presence, and I feel more relaxed in myself as I'm listening to you talk about what you're so passionate about. And that's something that I find that we were having a conversation before the call about this whole topic. And I just felt myself completely drawn in, like just really excited. So I'm super excited to turn the call over to you. So thank you for being with our community and being a part of this community for such a long time. And so go take it away.
Oh, well, it's a joy to be here. And I so appreciate and thank you for asking me to play with the villain and be a part of these classes. This is probably in the drama triangle. I'm going to go over the classes that we've been through before. The villain of the drama triangle has, for me, been one of the most confusing. So it's been a real treat to revisit this particular spot in preparation of playing together tonight. And for those of you who have your video going, how many of you have been able to see Katie's introduction, or Michelle and Terry's hero, or Nicole's victim? Any show of hands? Okay. Rhonda, Renata, John, awesome. Perfect. Well, if you haven't had a chance to see them, my strong suggestion is just to, give yourself a treat to first go over Katie's and feel the foundation of the triangle and get a flavor of how it came to be, and which is a really natural human development. We all founded or developed these personas in response to not getting the kind of attention that we wanted when we were growing up. And so it's a way that we can go, oh, well, this is naturally built into my system. And so I can be really kind and playful and compassionate with myself as I learn how to discover my particular flavor of each of these points on the triangle, and play. And so that's what I would encourage on all of these. I guess I should introduce myself a little bit. I am a coach, and I do a lot of work with individuals, but my career has been in finances, and I have a small practice in integral wealth planning. And one of the things that I think is so powerful about this particular work and exploration is that it translates into all of life, all professions, and it's timeless. So I love that I have been here for 20 years, 20 plus years, and I still get to learn, I still get to grow, I still get to play with something that is so easy to use. And so when I find tools like that, when I find practices and processes like that, it's steeped in wisdom, it's steeped in something that is going to be reliable for us. So if you're having some fun, keep playing with it and put it in your back pocket for a lifetime, because there's lots of mojo here. I wanted to, so the victim and the hero have been reviewed a little bit. The hero comes to life when we want to be of help and we think that someone needs to be supported. They have a problem that needs to be fixed. They want to be appreciated. It's this kind of generous way of being. And so many of us can fully identify with the hero. I know I can. And then the victim comes to life when they're feeling scared. They want security. They're trying to ask for help. They want to be rescued. And I know sometimes I feel that way too. I feel helpless and I start to whimper. The villain comes to life when we want to control. We're feeling a lot of power, a lot of energy, and the adrenaline that we are addicted to really comes into an intense kind of space. So I'd love to have us begin to play with the levels of victim. And I'm going to stand up, and because that's more fun that way, and I can also feel my energy in my villain. And so the first level of villain. Now Katie had I don't, but you may have that kind of thing, and so what I'm going to invite you to do is, if you want to stand up and try this part on this level, is start to move around and get your look going. Like, I know that, like, I've got a look, and it's just kind of like so move around, see if you've got your look. Nice, Rhonda, that was good. Oh, and she's got this. It's kind of like a, huh? And it's subtle, but I feel it. And I remember one time I was in a conference, and I was co-partnered with this fellow, and we were part of a study group. And there were 8 people in the study group, and we're having conversations, and he had the most powerful villain look. I mean, it was like, and I'm looking, I'm feeling around. I mean, I could feel everyone being scared, and I thought, wow. And so we would pair up afterwards and kind of debrief. And I said, Sam, his name wasn't Sam, but I said, Sam, I'm curious. Are you aware that you've got a really expressive face? And he's like, no. I said, let's go to the mirror. And we went to the mirror, and I said, let's just look surprised or what goes on. And he started to do, I said, I invite you to really, And he did it, and he's going, oh my God, I never knew I looked that way. You know, he's like, so he started to play with it. And I do the same thing, because I'm like, it's like I have a question in my face. I'm going, what? In my head. And so that look is just bursts to other people. They can feel that. So what do you, just register what you kind of notice there in your look. And hold on to that. And then we're going to move to the second level, which Katie had her hand going. No, you know, no, wagging finger. Oh, there you go again. Well, I notice that I get my hands on my hips and I got one foot out, and I'm like, so it's the look. And usually there's some, you know, a little bit of energy there, a little bit of power, a little bit of heft, like, because we're generating power in the villain. So what's your level 2? Get up, and if you choose, get up and just, where do your hands go? And how's this working for you? You feel a little bit of that? Yeah. Rhonda's going like this, and I'm really loving some of these looks too, because they're subtle, but we can feel them. And Linda's laughing. Yeah, it's like, and so I'm feeling my energy. So that's level 2. And you may have some sound that goes with that. You may have some sound, you may have some movement, a little bit of heft. I feel hot. And now it's like level 3. Yeah, Katie had going, ha, 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 you know, was doing this thing. Oh, she didn't, you know, this is like aspiring. Level 3 is like, there's an uproar. It's like, you know, and there's usually this energy that comes through and up. And so, yeah. And, you know, I have a story for level 2 I will go back to, but the story I have for level 3 is, I mean, I can still feel the energy from it now. That's how visceral this is. As my spouse, who I adore dearly, decided that he would get out on the ladder and clean out the gutter in our porch. And it was raining. It was rain, light drizzle. And he had a bad ankle. And so, I mean, I was like, oh my God, are you stupid? I mean, I'm run out there, and it's like, I'm not saying, oh, honey, I'm scared, be careful, whatever, which I was scared. This is, we get to discover the unique kind of fear we have in our going on with villain. I was just, oh my God, you were so stupid. And then get out from there and start screaming and, you know, just off. That's what happens. And we, you know, we have this idea that we're not supposed to yell. We're not supposed to, you know, do all these. We should not. And there's probably a better way, but this is naturally what we do when we get really, really scared. And there's usually a story that goes along with it, and there's lots of other things that trail. So when we're playing with this, when we're playing with our villain personas, that's the invitation to really loosen it up. I mean, so my story for the second level was, I remember, you know, my kids being little, and they were playing, they hadn't finished their homework. And so I'm like, you need to be doing your homework, you know, just like looking at them with this look like, seriously, you've got to be doing your homework. before you play. Now, that's kind of snotty, and it's like, but you know, because I'm a good mother and I don't want you to fail and I want you to be able to pass your grade. So it's like these ways that we, you know, naturally get into them, because I know that my mom also wanted me to, you know, pass and be a good mother too. And so as you've been trying on your villain, notice what's familiar to you. Notice what you kind of have a strong relationship with, and you go, oh yeah. Not like, oh, that's a bad thing, but oh, that feels familiar. And if something doesn't feel so familiar, it's like, something to get a little bit more curious about, you know? And we're going to get curious in with a visualization. I'm going to have you, if you want to, you can turn off your screen and have you stand up and get into your villain posture, one of your favorite and most familiar. And we'll have a little visualization, or a powerful visualization. And then we are going to do some writing sprints. And they're some of my favorite ways to loosen up the space and my own understanding, perhaps, of even where my villain ideas and my villain ways come from. And then we'll capture some learnings, and then we'll open it up for some discussion. So in case you weren't on here in the beginning, you want to make sure you have some writing instruments, so paper and pen. And if there are, we're just going to go through it and seamlessly. So if you have any burning questions about this activity, you can ask that. Otherwise, we'll or raise your hand if you have a question, and I can answer that. Otherwise, we'll just go into it. Okay, super. All right, so I'm going to invite you to shut your eyes. You can either sit or stand. No, Michelle will do that. We'll put the music on in a bit. Yeah, thank you. And get into your most familiar villain posture. And hold your pose, or you can slightly move around if that is helpful. And bring to mind a situation where you felt very right. You might be alone, or you might be with another person. Let your mind visualize this scene vividly. Make the scene really clear. Be right. Judge and justify. Blame, blame, blame. You might be saying, you're doing it wrong, or I don't care, or I'm so stupid, or they've been bad. Dismiss anyone or anything and tighten your position. Move as the villain. Point your fingers. Do the villain look. Speak your villain statements. Do your version of the villain. Make it bigger. Imagine interrupting, comparing, lecturing. dismissing, blaming, intellectualizing. Generate more stories. Generate more physical intensity. Generate more control. Now, let the visualization go. Open your eyes. Grab your pen and paper. We're going to engage our writing sprints for 3 minutes each. And the first writing sprint, at the top of the page, you want to write thoughts. Michelle, you can start the music. And the writing stem is the thoughts that run through my head are draw a line at the bottom of your writing and write the words physical sensations. Then pressure, temperature, and movement. The physical sensations in my body are draw a line. At the top of the page, write emotions. The emotions I feel are and before we go into our final journaling sprint, put your left hand on your heart and your right hand on your belly and just take 3 generous breaths. Just appreciating yourself for exploring and allowing yourself to soften and open a little bit. Being kind to your villain. And as we go into our last 3-minute sprint, we're going to write to when I let thoughts, feelings, and sensations go, I notice what I really want is and now take a moment to read through your responses and just notice something that captures your attention. Something that might have surprised you. Just do this for about a minute. I'd love to open up the floor for any kinds of insights or learnings that any of you discovered in your writing. And so, yeah, Rhonda.
Thank you, Gayle. These were wonderful exercises for me to explore this. And what surprised me most is how much faint and grief and collapse was under my extra adrenaline push out. You know, it's like the more grievesome the victim feels. This was over a dangerous situation that a new trainer put me in. Well, I won't say put me in, instructed me, and fortunately I had the instincts to not follow instructions, look behind me because he had me running backwards and I was about to hit a wall. And I looked, I just went, I'm too close. I'm looking, I was like, oh, I stopped myself. So it's like, even though I was strong and assertive in that situation, the fact that somebody kind of set me up for a really bad injury, totally not consciously, but that's the situation. The angrier, more activated I got, the more it felt like, oh God, not another accident, oh no, not another loss, a deep loss, and all of that. And it's like the sense of betrayal and collapse and faint, oh, not another squash you to the ground thing. The more I rose up and had all of this vibrato, energy that really doesn't feel that good when I think about it. It's not peaceful, it's not harmonious, it's not balanced, but it's just like this fight that comes out of, oh no, not again, kind of thing. So I was surprised at the amount of faint and collapse that was underneath it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And that you bring that up, even as Michelle and I were talking a little bit beforehand, how the two, fear responses that are, to mobilize,
Yeah.
which is very much like the villain,
Yeah.
can quickly be followed by collapsing and fainting, which is very much like the victim. Yeah. And you've just described that so beautifully. And it's your body awareness of how you were feeling. I mean, I could just watch you go into both of those places so clearly. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having us do this. It's really good for me to see how much victim is underneath the pillow, because I think it's, I'm so strong or whatever. And it's like, actually you're really scared right now, Rhonda,
Yeah.
It's good to be honest about that, because then it's like, well, I can do something about that fear a lot easier, when it's not fear and anger, just let
Beautiful.
the anger.
Yeah. And this is a great also example of how we run the basins, we're one and then another and jump around, and you're slowing down, and this is a beautiful awareness and shift move of being able to go, oh, and see what's really happening and get into integrity. So lovely.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else have some ahas or surprises you'd like to share? Any questions?
I'll share just something that came through for me. There was the situation I brought up is one that has a lot of righteousness, like I'm right and they're definitely wrong and all this stuff. And going through that, it was so easy to see that I'm just scared. I was just scared and had, different thoughts and different things. It was just easier to be righteous about it than to actually face the like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And what did you notice what happened in your body? Like, what were some of the feelings that like came through that actually shifted you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it went from the tight kind of righteous tightness to really recognizing, okay, I know that I'm projecting. So, okay, what's going on here? I've got all this going on. So I let myself kind of feel into it and get curious. And then what I realized is, oh, well, what I really did was withhold something, and then I'm projecting. So recognizing that when I started to think about actually expressing what I would have to express if I wanted to be revealed. That was, then it was like, oh, and then there was a total, like a different kind of tightening up of like feeling it in my belly and just feeling that kind of like, oh, wanting to disappear, probably like yeah. But what was really amazing too, is at the same time, so presencing that first, and then a big wave of energy came through because I recognized where I was. And it was like this, woo! And I felt so excited. And I made this whole video where I was talking about it and blah, 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 do. So yeah, that was the amazing part, to go from contracted and then the fear to this creative flow that came through, and in owning like, oh, this is just me making up stories. This is just me doing all this stuff. Oh, which that's a story too, right? So there's different things that are happening, but recognizing my responsibility in it, where, yeah.
Gorgeous. What I most appreciate is how you described you were feeling the fear that you were masking or trying to avoid, right? By villainy. So it was like when you shift and you're like, oh, it's not that we're going to avoid feeling the feelings of fear and the queasy bubbles in our belly, or it's that we get to experience them, and then you released that powerful energy that comes from the essence of villain, the essence quality. So, and that's what I really appreciate about our villain personas, are really, they help us to hone our strength and our power. They have a voice. They have something that wants to be expressed. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else have some comments or questions? Or Tammy.
I maybe have a question.
Yeah.
What came out for me is when I was writing through this, was just the irony of the situation. My villain, as I mentioned in the chat earlier, comes out most in my parenting. I have an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And
you get a pass.
It's always bedtime. Like I love spending time with my kids. We have a great, and then bedtime, I'm like, I get so like uptight about them not going to sleep so that I can do my meditation and yoga and reading. And usually it's some kind of, a personal development type of book. And so just the irony of that I get so angry because I want to be able to move on with my evening of meditating. And so, yeah, I just found that ironic when I was thinking of that. And I had some new ideas. I'm like, why don't I try to, instead of getting into that anger where I'm trying to control, just go to sleep, just stop getting up, and you don't need a drink and this and that. Maybe inviting them to join me in a meditation. Say, if you're still awake, you can join me in this. And this is, just to stay in that peace instead of getting, as I was writing the physical sensations, I get tense. I'm, physically tense, and my jaw is clenched, and I'm saying, I love you, but I don't want to see you again.
Oh my gosh.
Until the morning.
Oh, so good. So good. And what a brilliant shift. What a brilliant new insight and creative solution. And
yeah. I don't know why I haven't thought of that before, that just, you're awake and I'm awake, and this will help us both sleep better instead of me yelling at you. That's not a great way to go to sleep, is being yelled at.
And I love your seeing the irony is seeing a bit of the humor, obviously. And so when we can laugh we know that we're off the triangle and we're in creative mode. And yeah, I'll share one parenting thing that I did years ago when I was, it was probably around mid 2000s. And one of my hero personas is the super competent superwoman. And when she did not work, I would go to the kitchen cleaning Nazi, which was a villain. My kids, and it would usually be, you know, help me clean up or whatever. And so I decided I was going to full on outplay. I got my hair, I put it up in a, knot, and I got silverware, and I just jammed it in my head. And I mean, I had and chopsticks, whatever utensils I could. And then I just went full out, because that's one, you know, make it bigger. And my kids were like, oh my God, just like, and we just then all started laughing, you know, but it's like, how do I shift it? How do I, you know, now total opposite of meditating, which you know, you're describing, but there's when we just take our experience and do something different, you know, that allows us to find the crack, the light to do it a little bit different. So beautiful, Tammy. I love hearing that. And join the Big Leap group and tell us how it goes, if you're not already on it.
No, I just discovered this in the past couple of days, so I'll jump on that. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Anyone else have some things that they discovered or would like to share? John, John, we'd love to hear. Unmute yourself.
How's that?
Beautiful.
Oh, great.
We can hear you.
As I was writing and thinking about a handful of situations where it wouldn't be unusual for different personas of my villain to come out, I noticed several kinds of themes. And then when we did that little final question of, like, if I were letting that go and what I notice about what I really want, there was probably about a half a dozen words, that just single words that came to the surface. But the first two did catch me a little bit by surprise. The first word was connection. That in the midst of these situations where I find myself trying to be over controlling, or I'm having the thought that you shouldn't, or you need to think, or whatever that might be, I was noting that underneath all that I'm really wanting connection, but the way they're thinking or behaving or being is getting in the way of me being able to connect, which is that arrogant side of me. And so that just invites me to really look, if I'm really wanting connection, that I need to do it a different way that I'm doing. The other word, the second word that popped up for me was acceptance. And not just that really difficult thing of self-acceptance, which is very hard, but also that ability to accept others right where they are. And those were two words that really stood out for me in terms of, like, when my villain persona steps out, that if I can strip that away, there's some really good things, I think, that I'm really wanting.
God, I'm so touched. There's this really beautiful discoveries. Yeah. Isn't that so true? I resonate with I want connection. And your insight about acceptance, like, there's an opening to accept them and accept me. You know, we accept ourselves, that allows us to accept others, and just kind of this beautiful spiral back and forth. Thank you so much, John. Yeah. So we have about 5 more minutes and till the top of the hour, which always goes so fast. And I see here a few notes. Exactly, John. Renata has says for me to be on the same page. Tammy's, sometimes I feel like I'm doing someone a favor, seeing them as better than they are. But the truth is I'm not meeting them where they are. Yeah. Beautiful. This is lovely. Any other shares that would make you happy to complete our time together? We can close with our most
our biggest looks. I have one thing, and it really relates to what John said. And I had the thought and was just waiting for the right moment. I was thinking about how important it is for us to love ourselves and to accept, to skip the part where we beat ourselves up for it. And I felt when it came to me, it was when you did your utensils and, and like really getting goofy and right. So you couldn't have done that if you were still in judgment about the fact that you were getting frustrated and angry and all those feelings were coming out as a parent. Yeah. So it struck me how important that is for us to let go of that self-judgment. And then there's availability. And now I'm thinking back to my own situation, and that as I had empathy for myself, love for myself, for my fear, for my inability in the moment to reveal, when I made that not wrong, but just what it was, that's when I freed up that energy to be able to be present and like, oh, and then I could be vulnerable and be real about that.
Yeah. And powerful. That's really being able to love and be resourceful with your power. It's kind of feels like it would be the opposite, but it isn't, because it's regenerative power versus depleting power.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about, is being able to have that regenerative power. And all of these things that we've been talking about, and the things that we have had in prior classes are ways that we can shift into our wholeness and our presence and integrity, and find the one or two that really resonate for you, that really help you to find that threshold, and practice it. Allow it to be, a resource and a go-to. And those, some of those moves are just simply breathing, and not simply breathing. I mean, sometimes breathing can be difficult, but it's breath. We know now with lots of our brain science and is that, breath is what calms our nervous system and allows us to actually slow down and make better choices. Move, put on your favorite dance tune and just get up and shake it. It loosens all of the cobwebs. Speak something true. Even if you're just saying, today is Wednesday, I'm wearing a blue sweater and looking at the Zoom. I mean, that can be your way in too. My favorite is appreciation. It's like, I can always find something to appreciate, even if it's like, wow, water can go in a glass like this. I mean, where did this get designed? And I can go really weird that this is, but if you can appreciate anything, writing instruments. So check out all of the resources and find the one or two that really work for you and play. Yeah. So Michelle is putting lots of things in the chat for you. So if there are no other questions or comments, we can close with our villain, or we can just say goodbye.
Ah, thank you so much, Gayle. That was amazing. I'm seeing some nice comments in the chat. Really appreciating everyone for showing up tonight and being a part of this call. You make it the rich experience that it is. And so really appreciating all of you. And yeah, wow, what fun. So if you want to unmute and give your best villain or just say your gratitude, your appreciation for Gayle and for everyone else, go ahead and do that. Please feel free to unmute.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you all.
Great to be with you all.
Thank you, Gayle.
Thank you, Gayle. That was
Everybody's feeling
wonderful.
too loving to be
Thank you,
villain.
Gayle.
Group hug.
You're in the love side. Yay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.